Trust isn't a strategy. It's the foundation for life and business. If you've ever taken a road trip to a place you've never been, you already understand the importance of a map. Not just the kind that tells you where the next turn is, but the kind that shows you where you are when you feel completely lost. Life is a road trip, and so is business. In both, there will be seasons when you don't have a precise map, your GPS is glitching, and every turn feels like a gamble. That's where Proverbs 3:5-6 enters, not as a soft Sunday school verse, but as a GPS recalibration for the soul and the strategy boardroom. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Let's break this down, not just theologically, but tactically. Trust is the ultimate leadership move. Solomon, the man behind this wisdom, ruled a kingdom. He wasn't riding from a hammock on a beach. He was making decisions that affected economies, armies, and lives. He had access to every advisor, every piece of intel, and every leadership book of his time. And yet, he said, don't trust your understanding. Trust God. That's not weak leadership. That's wise leadership. In life and business, we hit decision points daily. Do I hire this person? Invest in this opportunity? Take this risk? Pivot this project? Our instinct is to lean hard into data, trends, spreadsheets, instincts, and past experience. Solomon's words challenge that instinct, not to throw away wisdom or planning, but to understand their place. Trust is not passive. It's the most active thing you can do when letting God lead. And when you lead others, whether in your home or your company, this posture of trust sets the tone. It shows your team and yourself that wisdom doesn't always equal certainty, and certainty isn't always required for faith-driven action. Don't lean on the ladder you built. Let's talk about leaning for a moment. Have you ever leaned on a ladder that wobbled? For a few seconds, you convince yourself it's okay. But then you shift your weight and regret it. That's what leaning on our understanding feels like. It's shaky, it's narrow, and it eventually collapses under the pressure of things it wasn't built to hold. In business, leaning on your understanding might look like defaulting to what worked last quarter and ignoring new input. Making decisions in isolation because you've been doing this long enough. Avoiding prayer, counsel, or slowing down because speed feels like success. In life, it's even sneakier. We lean on emotional defense mechanisms, people's opinions, our plans, and the illusion of control. Solomon says don't lean on that ladder. Not because you're not smart, but because your wisdom, no matter how brilliant, is still limited. It sees only part of the story. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, not just the churchy ones. Here's where the real challenge lies. Acknowledge Him isn't about tipping your hat to God before a big meeting or slapping a Bible verse on your LinkedIn profile. The Hebrew word used here, yada, means to know deeply, intimately, like the kind of knowledge that shapes how you move, not just how you think. So, what does it mean to acknowledge God in your ways? It means inviting Him into your quarterly revenue goals, your client interactions, the way you manage your calendar, the ethical gray zones of deals and negotiations, your parenting, even when you're exhausted, the dreams you don't tell anyone because you're afraid they'll sound foolish. Acknowledgement is alignment, and alignment brings acceleration. Because when your ways start matching His ways, you stop fighting friction. You start walking in flow. Straight paths don't mean easy roads. Let's address a dangerous myth. Trusting God means your path will be pain-free, obstacle-free, or success guaranteed. Wrong. The Hebrew phrase, "make your path straight," means to remove what blocks or misleads. It's about clarity and direction, not comfort. It means God will show you where and how to go, even if the route feels uphill or the terrain is rough. Sometimes, the straightest path God gives you is through a valley, through failure, silence, and the tough call to say no when the world expects yes. But it will be the right path, and that matters more than the easy one. Business strategy meets soul strategy. Let's bring this into your boardroom and your kitchen table. If you're an entrepreneur or a leader, Proverbs 3:5-6 calls you to build companies that don't just chase profit, but reflect purpose. Make space for prayer in your planning. Let integrity lead, even when compromise could cut costs. If you're a parent, a partner, or a friend, this passage reminds you that your wisdom isn't enough to guide another soul, but God's wisdom is. So bring Him into your conversations, your choices, your responses. And if you're just trying to figure out your next step, know this: you don't need the whole map. You just need to trust the guide. And then you don't need all the answers when walking with the one who is the answer. The real win: a life and leadership built on surrender. This passage and your morning devotion aren't just a friendly reminder to trust God more. They're a full-on realignment of how you live and lead. They challenge the illusion of control. They call you out on self-reliance. They confront the pride that says, "I've got this." And they gently lead you to a better truth. You don't have to figure it all out to move forward. You just need to trust the one who already sees the whole path. So here's your action step. Take inventory. Where are you still leaning on your understanding? What areas of life or work are you making decisions in without acknowledging God first? Take time. Open Scripture this week with that area in mind. Ask God to speak, then actually wait for the whisper. Take a turn. If the Spirit nudges you in a different direction, pivot, not in fear, but in faith. You don't need a flawless plan. You need a surrendered heart. That's where the real wisdom is found. That's where the straight path begins. And that's where you'll find yourself walking in a story so much bigger and better than the one you could have scripted on your own.